Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. If you enjoy these watches and you like this one, you can see it in detail and purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing the watch that defines modern Breguet. It is the Breguet Tradition 7027BB, 38mm in 18-karat gray gold, a straight-through white gold alloy that never needs to be plated. This is part of a family that bowed at Baselworld 2005 and instantly postulated the concept of a modern Breguet-inspired wristwatch. It's not a Marine, it's not a Type 20, it's an entirely new concept that transposes the aesthetic and values of Breguet, that is AL Breguet era pocket watches, onto the wrist in a very wearable package. 38mm in diameter, 12mm thick. You're going to find that it's a nice compact lug-to-lug 45.5mm span, so you can wear this watch with security as well as handsome proportion on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. My 16 centimeter circumference wrist wears it easily. The spacing between the lugs is a roughly standardized 20mm, and the timepiece features a gorgeous case with welded lugs. As you'll note, these are not forged as a component of the case. They're made old school, the way watch cases used to be assembled, by welding the lug to the case band and then by hand removing all evidence of the soldered joint. That is extraordinary. The other feature that I happen to appreciate on this case that every luxury watch manufacturer should emulate is that even though it's a dress watch, the strap is fixed to the case by screws, so it cannot accidentally pop off. No spring bars here. The case is cold rolled and then hand finished to create the forged coined look on the flanks, and then you could see the case profile separating the bezel cantilevered over the mid case with a outcropping about the domed profile case back, so that both bezel and case back are mirror images. The strap is slim. It is a matte finish black alligator leather with a monotone stitch and a folded edge, natural calfskin on the underside, and a simple but elegant matching gray or white gold Breguet pin buckle. Handsome and not a default design. You can see even this component has been elegantly styled. Note the slotted buckle, so that there's actually a slot between the two prongs, so that the strap, once strapped down, fits seamlessly between them rather than stacking up on the wrist, maintaining the elegance of this timepiece. Let's take a quick look at the dial and describe how it is both a miracle of engineering and inspired design. So the first thing you'll see is that the watch is built around the caliber 507. At center, there's a mainspring barrel and a large one, bestowing a 50-hour power reserve. You'll also note that the train is designed to balance the dial, so side to side you have balance, you have great wheel. It's not a center wheel, it's a great wheel because it's off center. Great wheel, third wheel, fourth wheel, escape wheel. You have the anchor indexing the balance, and the balance itself balanced by the great wheel for a symmetry across the dial. You actually have a half bridge that features part of the drivetrain to the dial, counterbalanced by the 50-hour power reserve indicator, and there is a mirror power reserve indicator on the case back that actually shows you the underlying mechanism. 34 joules, and remarkably modern in its architecture despite the antiquarian sensibility. You'll note when I stop the balance, for it is a hacking balance, it is an aerodynamic, free-sprung, recessed gold bolt type of balance, so as modern as it gets, designed to beat without being encumbered by aerodynamic resistance. That's why the bolts are recessed, and you'll note that each bolt is actually crafted from solid gold. You move the bolts in and out to change the polar moment, or the moment of inertia that regulates the speed of the balance. A greater polar moment to slow it down. Move the bolts in and it speeds up. It beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and you will note two Breguet innovations. One, the overcoil that helps the hairspring to beat concentrically, keeping good time in any orientation with respect to gravity. The second innovation, a Pare-Chute shock resistance system. This enormous extended lever bolted to the half bridge is actually a shock resistance system rather than Kith, Incablock, or Etishock. It is an invention by Breguet himself that has been translated into a wristwatch format. You will note that the finish is unconventional, as there's a frosted grain atop the bridges. Make no mistake, this is not an unfinished collection of bridges and plates. I once had someone ask me what I thought of this watch because it was unfinished, and it's not. The granular texture is created either with media blasting or a wire brush, and the edge of every surface features the same glorious mirrored anglage that you would get on a conventional Patek, Philippe, or Vacheron Constantin. You can begin to see the edges of those surfaces lighting up as I turn them flush to the camera. That's the same gleaming rounded edge that you would get on any standard luxury watch. More elements of style. You'll note that the wheels are designed not as you would find on a modern wristwatch, but rather in the fashion you would find on old pocket watches and clocks with this splayed spoke design. You'll also note that the PVD coated bridges and the silvered wheels evoke not so much vintage Breguet, but modern Romain Gaultier. This timepiece is in many ways the Romain Gaultier aesthetic for far less money with no compromise in quality. More nods to history, but with a modern aesthetic. The dial itself is cut on a traditional rose lathe, thus it is true guilloche, not stamped, and then the solid gold base that forms the dial is blackened and then painted to create the imagery of the black top and the white numerals and dimple style minutes track outboard. A remarkably progressive timepiece in detail, a timepiece that evokes vintage without being a tribute watch of any kind. It doesn't plagiarize history like those convenient and somewhat facile nostalgia plays. This is all original while respecting tradition, and hence we call it Breguet La Tradition.